So I recently turned 30 and that got me thinking, what if I could share with you my most powerful lessons from my 20s? This is going to be good, so stick around. The first lesson that I learned from my 20s, you have to manage your finances as a responsible adult. When you get to the 20s, you are now obviously an adult and you're expected to make decisions that show that you're an adult. But from my experience from my 20s, I did not fully represent me being an adult in terms of finances. The fact that today, as a 30-year-old someone, I have not yet grasped the concept of managing finances well just means that the basis and the root of it all, which was my 20s, was not managed so well. So let's take a step back and down memory lane to my 20s. So I graduated in the year 2017 and I only started working in the year 2019. But between 2017 and 2019, I did look for side hustles and things to do while I was at home. I could sell handbags, I could sell clothes, and at some point I started selling Ankara or Java material, if you know those kinds that are used in lobolas and all to sew traditional attires when you're getting married, right? That was a good phase for me financially because I was independent financially. I had things going for me before I even got a job. But there came a time where I started spending my profits like I was crazy. And I started spending every little profit that I got. And that led to the downfall of my side hustle and my business at that time. And now looking at it right now and reflecting, that was a big mistake on my part because I could have expanded my business. I could have done more with my business at that time. And what did I do? I chose luxuries. At that time, I remember all my profits was spent on either hair, buying clothes, pretty clothes, or just buying data, which was used not in a good way. Actually, that data was not spent in the most productive way. So I remember those days, and that was a mistake that I made in my 20s, to not being able to fully utilize my finances, to fully save and budget for the future. Because if I had fully used my income, if I had fully used my profits, and if I had converted my profits into other businesses, then today I could have been somewhere great. Fast forward to when I actually got a job, I tried to go back into selling some Ankara, right? When I started working, that was in 2019 and 2020. I went back into the business of selling Ankara. I even involved some other things in there. But towards the end of 2021, I believe, I stopped marketing my business as much, and my business just started de- depleting. The profits just started going down, and at the end of it all, I started again, the cycle came back again, and I started spending all that money that I had made from those profits. I could have invested in something else. I could have put all those profits in a bank to be safe somewhere. I could have started something else with the money. But what did I do? I spent the money. That was a very poor financial management decision that I made, that I regret now as I am making this video. So that is one lesson that I would like you to take home, to say, please do manage your finances in your 20s. If you get to your 30s, you have other responsibilities that might take your time. But when you're in your 20s, most probably, you're not yet married. and you do not have as much responsibilities as when you get married or when you get to your 30s. So that is the perfect time for you to manage your finances wisely. Save budget, avoid impulse buying, learn habits that make sure that you keep your finances intact, because trust me, I have learned the hard way. Me not being able to manage my finances in those 20s has followed me up to my 30s, because now I am struggling to manage my finances properly. So that is one lesson that I have learned from my 20s that I think you should take with you. If you're still young, if you're still in your 20s, or you are approaching your 20s, you're in your early 20s, mid 20s, please manage your finances properly. It's not a time for you to be spending recklessly because you only live once. No, this is the perfect opportunity for you to invest, to budget wisely, to save your profits if you have a side hustle, because you will thank yourself in your 30s, trust me. So the second lesson that I want to talk about is the importance of personal development, self-development, and growth. So this might sound as if it's not important, but in my 20s I was not really focused on growing myself, developing myself, be it personal, educational wise, career wise, and so forth. So let's talk first about my educational background. So I studied human resources management, yes, but that degree was not part of something that I wanted. I can say I settled for that degree. I settled for the degree, and it's not something that I had a zeal and a passion for. Growing up, I always said I wanted to be either a lawyer or a journalist. So, with my O level and my advanced level, that is the first stage where I started slacking. And okay, let me say I played myself in my 20s, right? I played myself. Okay, so instead of being serious about my books, about studying, I just settled for being an average student, for average scores, average results, and that led me to having average results for my O level, average results again for my A level. And I just said, you know what, whatever degree that I'm going to get in university is okay, as long as I get a degree. And yeah, it looked as if it's a good degree at that point. But now that I'm in my 30s, I'm just realizing that that was 4 years of my life that was wasted, because it was not my passion to be a human resources professional, if you understand what I mean. I've always been in the creative realm. I've always wanted to be creative or vocal when needed to be vocal. So that is where I was considering journalism or law. But I slept on my studies. I did not study hard to the extent that I would actually acquire the grades that was required for me to be actually qualified or considered to study law. For journalism, yes, I could have gone and studied journalism, but at that point I just settled for whatever that was in my way, and I said, okay, let me just go into human resources management. And I graduated 2017. So how many years are we talking about down the line? Now that I'm 30, am I happy with the decision that I made? No. But at least that degree got me a job from the year 2019 to 2021, right? 2021, 2022. So at least, but it was not my passion. And that led me to not caring about advancing my education. So I would have gone through the masters in human resources management, or master's in strategic administration, I could have expanded my expertise in that field. But the fact that I did not just shows how much HR as a profession wasn't important to me in that way, in that manner. And that's why it was so easy for me to quit my job. It was so easy for me to resign the year that I resigned, because HR was just a degree that came, and I just took it for the sake of getting a degree, but it did not really uplift me in any way in terms of what I like doing and what I see myself doing, if you understand what I'm saying. So that is why I did not commit myself to expanding my knowledge, to building new skills. I remember that that same period of my 20s, my boyfriend, now my husband, suggested that I do something in relation to graphic design or web development or anything, or something in those lines. And I just said, I don't think that's me. But I think he spoke from a perspective where he saw the kind of person that I am, and he saw that I love being creative like that. But those days I just pushed it aside, I brushed it aside, and I said, oh, that's not me. Maybe that was fear in me, and I chose to settle for the easier route. And I did not challenge myself to say, okay, let me actually try this, let me actually try this. Maybe this could actually be something that I could be good at. At that time, if I had taken that seriously, I would be the happiest person right now, because maybe I would have completed a lot of certifications in graphic design, and I would be somewhere where I'm happy with now. Again, a lesson learned the hard way. It was a lesson learned the hard way. And I just want to encourage you, if you are still young, that you do something that you're very passionate about, something that you're happy about. Don't just go to the university for the sake of the degree which you do not like. At the end of the day, do something that you're passionate for, and study hard to do something that you're passionate for. Don't be a chicken and hold yourself back and say, will I be able to do this? You will be able to do it. He who begins the work in you will carry you through it to the last end. So do not be doubting yourself whenever you think that you cannot do it. Your 20s is your time to make mistakes, to make failures. Do not be afraid to fail. Do not be afraid to fail. If you want to do something, if you put your head and mind to it, even if you fail a couple of times, you emerge a winner at the end of it, because you are determined and you want to move out of your comfort zone. Move out of your comfort zone in your 20s, because that's the time when you are most flexible. I had so much time to choose the right career path that was not just thrown at me, but here I am. I quit my HR job and I'm exploring other passions. I could have done that earlier though, in my 20s, but I'm not saying that it's too late. But that's just a lesson that I want to share with you. In terms of personal development, in my 20s, that was the perfect time to figure out what I like, what I do not like, how I like to dress, how I like my body to look. And that was the perfect time for me to start working on the things that I needed to start to work on. But what did I do? Nothing. I was content with the average. I was content with the basic. I did not want more for myself. And as 20-year-old someone, that is not something that I would encourage you to do. Want more for yourself. Be eager. Be thirsty for more. You must want more for your life, in terms of how you appear, in terms of dressing, how people address you and everything like that. It's around that period that you know what you can take and what you can take from people. I believe that from me just wanting the average, settling for the average. That is how I did not learn or tell myself how to say no to people, because I was just saying yes, 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 yes to everything, and that led me to settling. And that is not a good thing to do. You do not settle if you are 20, if you are a 20-year-old, because there is a whole lot to see in this world, and you need to see and experience life. You need to experience some life lessons that are risky for you to know what you can tolerate and what you cannot tolerate. You need to travel your world in the 20s. You need to travel the world in the 20s. You need to explore boundaries in your 20s. And what did I do? I was just a couch potato. I spent most of my time at home. If friends invited me out, I would just make an excuse to stay at home. In terms of the relationships that I kept, looking back, they were not good for my personal development. I have come to learn that if you want to expand yourself as a brand, if you want to grow as a brand, if you want to be better, you need to associate yourself with people who are better than you. You need to look up to people who are better than you. So if you're just keeping a circle that is as average as you, who do not think outside the box, trust me, you are not going to develop personally. You are not going to push yourself to become better. That is exactly what I did. I was around people that did not push me to become better, and that's just a lesson that I learned. So right now, these days, I'm just trying as much as possible to develop myself, to look up to people who are ahead of me, who have achieved it all now, and just trying to learn towards that. So the third lesson that I want to talk about is relationships. Your 20s is the perfect time for you to cultivate good relationships and to know whether or not this is a good relationship or not. So in my 20s, I made a lot of bad decisions when it comes to friendships. I invested in the wrong relationships, and that is around the time where I was also working. I was a corporate girly, and I mistook being a colleague with being a friend. I blame myself because I mistook a colleague for a friend. And around that time, you start making the worst decisions you could ever make in your life because of that influence that colleague is giving to you. Remember, that person just came to work to get their bag and go home. They did not come to make friends with you. And I learned that the hard way. I don't want to get into it so deep, but I learned that the hard way. So I have a tendency of being emotionally attached too soon and oversharing too soon. So I would overshare to some of my colleagues at that time, thinking that I have made friends, like we are now a sisterhood, until one day I realized I've been booted out with no closure or anything. I've been booted out. These ladies are now starting to do everything on their own, and I'm no longer included. That's when I realized, no, I wasn't actually their friend to begin with. I was just someone who became too comfortable sharing too much of my life to them, and they had the ears to listen, and I thought that they were friends. But I just realized they're just colleagues. I was not the right kind of person to be called their friend. I was not considered a friend. So that's how I learned the hard way. Up to today, I did not get closure as to why I was booted out, but I do not need it anymore. So I'm just trying to tell you that invest in the right kind of relationships. The kind of relationships that build you to become a better person, that build you to become a better version of yourself, spiritually, personally, physically, that in all that. Because I have a few friends that we go way back. We go way back with those friends. And right now I'm just thinking and considering that if I actually took those people seriously, I could be somewhere better right now. If I did not overlook our friendship and start chasing the wrong friendship, I would be a very changed and better person right now. Because one friend of mine is very strong spiritually. She is very good. She's very strong spiritually. Even back when we were still in college, we were those that read the Bible when she was there. We were always girls that prioritized going to church, and when after college, obviously with the distance we had to separate and all that. But if I had actually shown up for our friendship like that, I would be a better person spiritually as I speak right now. And God bless you. God bless you. I'm sure that if you watch this video, you know that I'm talking about you. But then with some friends, we moved far away from each other. Growing up happened, adulting happened, distancing happened, and some of these people I've lost contact with them. Some we do maintain contact here and there. But what I'm saying is I chose the wrong friendships. I mistook being a colleague for being a friend, and I neglected the most vital relationships in my life. And now I'm at a stage where I am even scared to start investing in other people in terms of building a relationship with those people, because I don't know where that is going to take me. So these days I'm just scared of forming new relationships, of which forming new relationships keeps you sane when you are not sane anymore, if you understand what I'm saying. You need friends. As a woman, as a mom, you need friends. So the distance part doesn't make it any easier. So I just try to be there for my friends on the phone and all that. But I'm scared of commitment as it is, because what if I get committed to the wrong kind of relationship again, to the wrong kind of a group or a squad again? What will happen to me then? So yeah, that's just a lesson that I learned in my 20s, to say not everyone is your friend. Your colleague is definitely not your friend. And also it's important to invest in the right kind of relationships that build and change you individually as a person. In terms of romantic relationships, I just believe that in my 20s, maybe I could have done things differently and avoid a lot of taking advice from other people that would bring a negative impact on my relationship, if I can say. That just goes back to the colleagues and the friends that you thought were friends, because that didn't really do me any good. The kind of advice that some people will be giving you in terms of your relationship, in terms of your romantic relationship, won't be good for your relationship, because those people are not in your shoes, and those people have relationships of their own which they handle in a totally different way. So you wouldn't want to take that and bring it into a romantic relationship. So yeah, in terms of my romantic relationship, I think I'm pretty good with the decisions that I made personally, because that led me to where I am right now. And I'm in a pretty happy space with my marriage. So I cannot say that I made a wrong decision in my 20s, because I was that person who was adamant to say I'll stick to this person, and yeah, it paid off for me eventually. So yeah, so the fourth lesson that I want to talk about is prioritizing your health and mental well-being. People don't take this seriously in their 20s. I don't know why. I did not do it too, so I don't blame anyone. But it's so important to actually prioritize your mental and physical health in your 20s, because it's just paving the way for your 30s, for your 40s, and for the rest of your life. For example, your mental health. Overthinking and being stressed all the time, it doesn't look good, and overthinking just affects other areas of your life. For example, your relationships, your romantic relationships, to be precise, because if you're an overthinker like me, you are always thinking and plotting in your mind that your partner might be doing ABCD, of which they might not be doing that at all. So you need to be really careful about what you let your mind do. Stop overthinking, pray about it. Stop overthinking and pray about whatever situation that you find yourself in. And your physical well-being, this is for my younger sisters, for my little sisters out there who are just approaching the 20s or who are in the 20s. Be careful who you give your body to. There is an there is a whole spiritual sphere of soul ties and whatnot that you would be giving yourself up to if you just start sleeping around with anything and everything in the world, especially if you approach the university season where you get all the freedom in the world. That is the period of your 20s, and that is a period where you make the most stupid decisions you can ever make with your life, and that affects your physical and mental well-being. Imagine you having to sleep with every Tom and Dick at the campus and collecting all those soul ties from all those people. That will affect you spiritually, that will affect you mentally, that will affect you physically, because obviously there are STDs and other sicknesses out there that you'll be accumulating on your way. So be very careful of the kind of things that you give yourself up to. Yes, you want the freedom that you get when you get to the university. I feel like I'm also speaking directly to my little sister, my little sister. Yes, you want the freedom that you get when you get to the university, but be very careful of the things you do when you're at the university, because there are many soul ties that you can gather to your soul, and it affects a lot of things in your life, spiritually and maybe physically. So be very careful. Guard your body jealously. Guard your body jealously. Do not just let anyone have access to your body. I think that's a lesson that I would give to my 20-year-old self. Don't just let anyone have access to your body. Don't just let anyone have access to what you think or your mental health, because some of the things that people do will just affect you mentally, because you'll be thinking that you're not good enough, you don't deserve certain types of things, yet you deserve those kinds of things, but you have put yourself so level that you want to be average and you just want to settle for anything and everything that comes your way, which is not good for your personal, mental, and spiritual health and your physical health. So you need to guard yourself so jealously. Invest in yourself spiritually, invest in yourself physically. Make sure that you go for checkups. If you are in a sexually active relationship, make sure that you go for checkups with your partner, and both of you know where you stand in terms of your status. Make sure that you protect yourself against these diseases. Stick to one person, because there are diseases out there, trust me. make sure that you take care of yourself mentally. You do not let things get to your head, because by overthinking comes low self-esteem, because you're an overthinker and now you don't think you're good enough. Because now you don't think you're good enough, your self-esteem goes down. So I really would like you to take time and take care of yourself in your 20s and in your 30s, because that is the foundation for your 30s. Because if you spend your 20s and if you spend your 20s being that kind of person, that's going to follow you into your 30s. So that is just something that I learned in my 20s, to say I needed to guard my body so jealously and prioritize my mental health and tell myself that I deserve all the good things in life, because I do deserve all the good things in life. Because you can't be getting in your 30s and you're thinking, oh, I don't deserve to be dressing this kind of way. I don't deserve to be going out. I don't deserve soft life. That comes from your 20s, because in your 20s you're telling yourself, oh, I don't go out. I'm just a couch potato. I don't travel. I don't deserve to travel. That will follow you into your 30s. So that's just something that I wanted to share and say, you know what, your 20s is your foundation to learn a lot of things and to go through a lot of lessons. But you have to guard yourself, you guard your body, guard your mind, guard your spirituality, get closer to God. Personal development also means that you are closer to God spiritually and you're letting God be the guide of your life. But if you're living your 20s with no direction, with no foundation, with God away from you and your life, you will be lost and you do a lot of things and you make a lot of wrong decisions because you don't have a good foundation to lead you, which is God. So yeah, so the next lesson that I want to talk about is career and ambitions. I spoke about this when I was speaking about education, careers and whatnot. So I want to speak about this in a different light. So currently I am pursuing my graphic designer course. But just imagine if I had actually taken my husband's advice back then while we were still dating as boyfriend and girlfriend. I think I would be a much better person now. So your 20s is the time for you to make that decision. Take the risk. Don't be comfortable. Take that risk. No matter how scary it sounds, no matter how impossible it sounds to achieve, but it is the time for you to take that risk in your 20s. Because if I had taken that risk, right now I would be a fully fledged graphic designer and I wouldn't be on ground zero. But let's say everything happens for a reason, but no, just make sure that you go after the dreams no matter how scary they look. I remember around that time I had a friend who was organizing a au pair for Germany, and she gave this up to me and I said, Germany, will I be able to adapt in Germany? And also, to be honest, around that time I was in love and that clouded my judgment. My relationship clouded my judgment, and I said, if I go, will I be able to maintain a long distance relationship with my boyfriend? What will my boyfriend do? Will he remain in Zimbabwe and take a second and another girlfriend? Oh my god. And I stopped myself from getting something else out of life. Maybe you could be speaking to someone in Germany now if I had taken up that decision. But because I had other factors that clouded my judgment, then here I am. So I'm just saying, in your 20s, it's your time to really take up that decision, to really challenge yourself, to get out of your comfort zone, take risks. It's the perfect time to be taking risks, because right now maybe I do regret not taking some chances which I had in my 20s. And I do regret not listening to my boyfriend, now husband, who said you should get into graphic design, because now I feel like it's now late for me to take up graphic design because I'm just lazy. But anyways, these are lessons that we learn as we grow. Hey, you need to stick to things that really make you happy, a career that makes you tick, a career that makes you happy. And whenever you go to that 9 to 5, or maybe you're a freelance worker, or you are self-employed, do something that you applaud yourself in your 30s to say thank you so much, dear me, for helping me choose this career path, because I'm actually happy where I am, and thank you for making that difficult decision for me, and your 30s will definitely thank you for it. So yeah, so the last thing that I want to talk about is time management and prioritization. Being able to prioritize the important things in your life, being able to fully manage your time, what you do with your time. My 20s, I played myself in my 20s, guys. I played myself. Now that I think about it, now that I'm shooting this video, I really did play myself, because what did I spend my 20s doing? What did I spend my 20s doing? Except being coupled up with a boyfriend, my now husband. What did I spend my time doing in my 20s? Wow. Choose how you spend your time, guys. Choose how you spend your time. Prioritize how you spend your time. Because during my 20s, if I actually had said I need to do A, B, C, and D, and committed myself to doing exactly that, I would be a much different person right now. If I had actually prioritized myself and my time. I remember those were the times where I had my first YouTube channel, and I just let it go like that, because I did not prioritize it as something that would actually be big in the future. I did not prioritize my time. If I had prioritized my time well, I would have known that this is the time to study. You need to be serious about studying, and I would not have gotten average grades, which led me to getting an average degree, which led me to getting an average job, which led me to quitting that job. So yeah, you need to learn to prioritize your time in your 20s. That is the perfect time for you to prioritize your time and whatever you give yourself to, and choose what's important to do at a certain time, so that you don't spend a lot of time doing useless things that do not amount to your future, or that do not add to how your future looks. So yeah, those are my lessons from my 20s. I'd like you guys to reflect on your 20s. If you have any lessons that you have learned from your 20s, please share with me in the comment section down below. These have been my lessons. As I said, you need to stick around, because I promised you that this one's going to be good. So yeah, guys, some of us might have played ourselves in our 20s because we did not manage our time properly, we did not prioritize, we did not take risks, we did not maintain or choose the right relationships. But maybe that can change in the 30s, right? I'm still in my 30th year, approaching the 31st, and we only have more and more to go, God willing. So I hope that my 30s would be better. So I just thought to come here and share with you my life lessons in my 20s now that I'm 30. And yeah, those are pretty powerful lessons that I've learned now that actually spoken about it. So please do share your experiences and your encounters in during your 20s in the comment section. I would love to hear from you guys. What are the most important and valuable lessons that you took away from your 20s, now that you're 30, or now that you're approaching 30, or now that you are in your 32, 30, 30, 50 year, I don't know, or that you're in your 40s. So yeah guys, thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope that you got a lesson or two, especially to my young sisters, to my little ones. I hope that you took away a lesson or two from this video. So from me to you, love and light. I will see you in my next video. Bye.